looks like we got Mew against Arceus Giratina.
Yeah.
So a couple of decks we've not actually seen so far, so I'm a little bit excited about this. Anytime we get to see new decks, that just makes me very, very happy.
I'm a bit excited about this. This is going to be fun. We've been looking at Giratina and wondering what the best strategy was to play this deck. Obviously, we've seen in Japan so often the players going towards that Lost Box engine, but sure enough, trusting in Starbirth to get the job done. You're going to lose, of course, the ability to use that Star Requiem, but who cares? We're dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah, we are dealing a lot of damage. You know, we were chatting to Ian there last night, and he was telling us this Mew deck, he seemed fond of it. He seemed like it was a, you know, it was a good call, and certainly a lot of people are out there playing this deck, doing well, and it's nice. We literally just said we've not had Mew on the stream. It would be nice to get Mew on the stream, and would you believe it? Soon as that happens, we go and get ourselves a Mew on the stream. That makes me very, very happy indeed.
Yep, it's been a minute since we've seen Mew up against Arceus. This was a classic matchup for quite a long time, and it's always so interesting to see that early path interaction. So seeing one in the prize cards there for Ian is a little unfortunate.
Yeah, it is a little bit awkward, but hey-ho, we can, we'll have to try and get around that a little bit. Of course, you know, Arceus Giratina, no strangers to the whole, you know, path judge thing. That is something we see quite a lot from them. Use that Starbirth, get the path judge, and just try and lock your opponent out of the game. So we are rolling here, and it looks like we are starting off with Fabio here, and he's got himself a nice early nest ball, and I believe a Squavit?
Yeah, it's a Squavit. Look at that.
Nice.
Love to see that card. It's an inclusion I've seen in a lot of different decks, and sure enough, it ends up finding its way into the active position.
Well, it's one of those cards I kept telling everyone was good, but when a new set comes out, I tell people a lot of cards are good that end up not being that good. So I'm always wondering, like, am I being a bit too enthusiastic? But no, it's got a great ability that lets you shuffle your entire hand, put it on the bottom of your deck, and draw exactly one card. But because you're playing that Bibarel that draws until you've got 5 cards in your hand, you do this, hopefully you play it, and then you Bibarel, and you actually get yourself more cards drawn off the Bibarel, and we do see an early Luminion here getting a Professor's Research as well. So, Fabio, fan of drawing cards.
Yeah, definitely thinking about that early path, does not want to be a victim there, and is going to have that supporter locked into the hand, hopefully. Of course, Ian has a lot of information now, and he's going to use that Battle VIP pass, get these additional Pokemon, probably start thinking about a judge.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn 1 judge is good. If you can get your Genesect out so you're drawing a whole bunch of cards and then put your opponent down to a very low hand size, knowing you can get yours back. And straight away, we got 2 Mew, 2 Genesect. That is a very good start. Oh, we see the Forest Seal Stone as well and an attachment to the Mew. Ian is having a very, very good turn 1 here.
Yeah, we spoke with Michael Permont, and we've talked about this before, but he said that this deck always gets to play Pokemon, and sure enough, Ian is doing just that. Has everything that you're looking for here to start things off, and going to go ahead and use that Forest Seal Stone very early now.
Yeah, and I love that. Gives you access to whatever you want. And, you know, this could be the judge to try and slow down Fabio if you don't already have access to it. And that's kind of the joy of these modern Mew lists, because you can either really extend and get set up, draw a whole bunch of cards, or you can slow your opponent down a little bit and, you know, while still having that Genesect available. But it is, as you correctly predicted, that turn 1 judge. And I love this, because Ian is still going to be able to draw a bunch of cards with Genesect. This is probably going to hurt Fabio a lot more than it's going to hurt Ian.
Absolutely. We do see the energy placement on the Arceus V for Fabio there, so that's going to be helpful with potentially working in that Arceus V-Star. But if there's no access to Starbirth, this could be a hand that you're stuck with for a long time.
Absolutely. Oh, we do see the V-Star and the double turbo energy.
The path was found. There's only 1 in the deck because 1 is in the prize cards. How do you find it off the 4 cards of Judge?
Oh, that one is, yeah, that's quite nice. I tell you what, that judge has helped Fabio. That is lovely. So it does seem like we get another Battle VIP pass for Ian, though. And this might be one of those situations. I mean, Ian, of course, does play Path to the Peak himself. Do you want to put Path to the Peak down to stop a potential Starbirth, or do you think you've done enough with Judge? We know he hasn't, but do you think I've judged, I don't need to Path as well? Does he even have access to it? Well, no, we're just starting to draw now. So
yes,
lots to draw.
The path is in hand, but, but he's going to just continue to draw and maybe thin this hand out a little more potentially. You have a few more ways to draw up with those other Genesects on the bench, and sure enough, you can end this turn with a path locked in play. I think the only thing we're really missing here is finding a switching effect and that Mew VMAX. That would be the ideal cards to end with within your hand.
Yeah, and I think the path here at the end of the turn is going to be exactly what you're looking for. And if you can put your opponent, judge path is something we've seen over and over again, really since those cards were in the format, or Marnie path it was for a while. Put your opponent down to a low hand size, put path down, because essentially what Fabio really wants off the judge is Arceus V-Star. That gets you back in the game. Path basically says, yeah, no, it doesn't anymore. And unfortunately, now there is one Lost City in Fabio's deck, so I suppose you're looking for that now?
We definitely could. You need to find an answer here.
Yeah, there's no Pumpkaboo, unfortunately. Pumpkaboo's not coming out to save you, so we do pass over. And, it is not looking good. I think he top-decked an Arceus V. We got Boss's Orders, Arceus V-Star, double Turbo Energy. I mean, you could squav it here. I mean, it's incredibly risky, but it is technically an option.
Woo!
Oh, he is! He's actually doing it!
All right.
Oh, my goodness. So,
just imagine.
if that was the one Lost City in the deck, that would be so good.
Yeah, it looks like there are 2 in the list, but yeah, just not finding that here. Yep.
I'm only seeing 1 in the list. 1 Lost City, 1 Path to the Peak. Am I being, the one I'm looking at is showing it as 1, but it's actually 2. Thank you for that, Carl. Really appreciate that. So there are 2. Didn't get it off the squav it. That is upsetting.
Well, over for Ian, we do see that access to multiple Mew VMAX is available, and the double Turbo Energy for retreating is found. So plenty of prize cards potentially to be had here. And is that the boss's orders too?
Oh, it is the boss's order, so that's going to just grab that Arceus up. We've got a Lost Vacuum to actually get rid of your own Path to the Peak here. This is going very, very well as it goes at the moment. Of course, the cards in the Lost Zone aren't terribly relevant. Ian does have 2 in the Lost Zone now, but that is really not relevant to this matchup. So now we can draw more cards with Genesect, and it seems like Ian is just getting anything he wants here.
Well, definitely looking for some ways to modify damage here. If we could see 3 of those, we could see the knockout on this Arceus V-Star. You don't have to worry about Starbirth then. And who cares if you reestablish a path then?
Yeah, that is... Yeah, it's going pretty well. So here we go with an Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Roxanne and a Mew VMAX. Got too many Mew VMAX, don't need any more of those. So, and he literally just finning his hand here for Genesect. Doesn't seem like he went and got anything there. So it's literally just finishing out your hand. There is a Cramomatic could potentially be played here.
Yep, looks like that's going to be the line. Throwing away one of those 2 Pokemon Catcher. It's okay when you miss here because you're going to be drawing up to 5 cards and you still have 1 more Genesect after this.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of cards being drawn. We got a lot of options here. And the attack is already on the board. You can already, go and take that attack with Mew. Wouldn't mind a couple of damage modifiers to try and, extend. We're hitting 240 at the moment. I don't think we've seen any power tablet be played here. Yeah,
we're reducing to 220 with the double turbo, but sure enough, this Cramomatic could help out a lot. That is
ahead.
Huge. So this is going to be 1 more of those modifiers, that power tablet.
So we need
1 more needs to be found here off of the Genesect V, and I think there's an Ultra Ball in hand, so this can go all the way to a fresh 6.
Oh, this is good. Of course, 2 power tablet with a reduction from double turbo would put you up to exactly 280, and this would be just absolutely devastating for Fabio here.
I missed the V-Guard, so we got a lot to go.
Oh, there's a V-Guard on that. Okay, so we would need 3 power. It's still possible, but we would need 3 power tablet. We've got 1, and we've got the Choice Band. We would need 2 more. And it is possible. You can reach for it.
Absolutely.
We do need 2 more here.
Well, this is a big opportunity. We see the Cramomatic, but I think that's it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any real way. So we can go for the Cram, but it's a Tails anyway, so that's a moot point. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot of damage going down, but it's not actually going to be a KO here, unfortunately. It's It's a little bit upsetting, but hey-ho, you can't win them all.
Yeah, this is a problem now that we saw the path gone. There was an opportunity for Ian to just retreat, attack with the Mew VMAX, and leave that path in play. And now there's a 1-card hand and a Starbirth available. I don't like this.
So I think 220. I think it did 220 if I'm thinking this
Oh,
correct.
with Radiant Gardevoir. Oh, there was so much going on.
200 with the Radiant Gardevoir.
Yes.
See, it was add for the Power Tablet, add for the Choice Band, take away for Double Turbo, take away for V-Guard, take away for Gardevoir, and yes, we were sitting there at 200, so I actually would have taken all 4 of the Power Tablet.
There's too many shadows going on right here. Couldn't even see that Pokemon hanging out.
It was a good attempt, but of course you're right. Now the path to the peak is gone. That means a Starbirth is available, and that V-Star marker for Fabio just got flipped right over. No mucking about here. You're just going straight in here, looking for, well, any 2 cards in your deck. So there's going to be a lot of options. We do see a Giratina, we see an Energy. Now we see a Path Judge from Fabio here, but now we're in a very different situation because Fabio can attack with the Arceus, get a bunch of damage on the field, accelerate the energy to Arceus to get that potentially set up, and now it's Ian who's got a small hand and is under Path Lock, so Genesect aren't doing very much.
Oh, how the tables have turned. Yeah, it's honestly not much was needed there from Fabio. Just gonna go ahead and grab that Giratina V, thinking about potentially loading this Pokemon up, putting a little pressure on that Mew VMAX, and there's no guarantee that we're going to see an attack from Ian this turn. With that path locked in play, maybe the resources aren't available.
And he's used 2 of the Double Turbo, of course. We would need to find 1 of the 2 remaining in the deck. 1 got discarded to retreat the Genesect, 1 is on the Mew. And because you're copying Genesect's attack, you need to, you can't do that 2 turns in a row. You need to get out the active. Now, Mew's got free retreat, and there is another Mew on the bench. So all you need is the Double Turbo, but you still have to find the Double Turbo, which is a little bit of a pain. If Ian finds that, it's going to be a very different turn.
Yeah, we'll see if the switch is also around just to take the knockout here and continue to put on some pressure. Looks like there is a chance with this trekking shoes to help out. We don't need that.
No, you don't need that at all. That is not a useful card right now. We see a Pokemon catcher, so yeah, you're right, a switch will... Oh no, a trekking shoes! Is it? Oh, it's still not a switch or an energy. I didn't see what that last card was.
Yep, can't.
I don't think, it was a choice bout, so no, that's not going to do it, unfortunately. Switch into Mew to then retreat into the one where the energy would work, or an energy to just retreat would work. We do see Pokemon Catcher, and it's a Tails. So Ian had a phenomenal turn last turn, got everything he needed. This turn is not going as well.
Wow, yeah, this path is unbelievable. It's going to lead to an Oricorio pass.
That is not what you're looking for. Now, it does seem like Ian's thinking about this for a second, but it is just Oricorio. And I kind of like this. It's the only single prizer Ian's going to be playing. So, boss's order straight into the Mew. No mucking about here.
That was short-lived.
Yeah, and here, so you KO with the Arceus. You force Ian to find an energy, which didn't work last turn, under Path Lock, and you get more energy out onto your Giratina and your Arceus. So, for as well as Ian was doing in the first couple of turns, Fabio has turned this right around.
I mean, we are a choice belt away from a potential game-ending situation here for Fabio. He's able to find the Giratina V-Star. That could just be a big knockout on this Mew VMAX.
Yeah.
And it's in hand.
Oh, has he got the belt, though?
Yeah, he's got the belt. I haven't seen the V-Star yet, but...
Oh, he's got... Oh, so he puts the Arceus active. I like this because you can retreat this one easily enough. So we do have the belt. We have some draw option. I think Judge
Oh,
is
I
the
keep
only
missing
draw.
Oricorio.
Oricorio is still out, so yes.
There's so much going on both sides of the board. But yeah, that is that will slow things down a little more. But honestly, you have that opportunity here as Ian still is yet to put on too much pressure as far as prize cards go.
No, this is not too... I mean, honestly, Fabio, we have got the boss's orders in hand. So, honestly, a 2-hit KO here would work very nicely because even if Ian retreats... Well, actually, you can't really retreat. There's no other Mew to go into. So, Ian isn't taking 6 prizes next turn. Or 4 prizes because you already KO'd the... I believe it's 4 prizes remaining for Ian, right?
Yeah, it should be. I believe
okay, because he did KO the Arceus there. But he's not taking 4 prizes next turn is my point. So, yeah, Fabio can just 2-hit KO here and feel pretty good. He's already got the V-Star.
Yep, and we see that here with the Raihan played. Going to get that extra energy down and find the Giratina V-Star. Probably feel pretty comfortable just attacking into this Pokemon. Yeah, of course, you run the issue of potentially walking into the Mew being found, and then this could just be shuffled back into the deck. But your opponent's not taking a knockout in that situation.
No, and to be honest with you, Fabio, for as bad as the first couple of turns went, is really back in this. And if your opponent's having to shuffle back in with Mew just to try and stop you winning the game without really getting themselves much closer to winning, that is a big deal for you. That's going well. And that path to the peak is still established. This matchup really does seem like both players are trying to do the same thing. I am going to put a path down and I'm going to judge you, but I'm going to do it when I've got the initiative and the better setup. And it worked for Ian for a moment, but then Fabio got back into it, and unfortunately it's working for Fabio better than it ever worked for Ian.
Yeah, it leads to a really fun back and forth in this matchup just to see who was able to lock this down, and really Ian just not getting anything from this spot, and Fabio's going to try to close out here if he can find the right cards.
He's got boss's orders. I'm sure he had that in hand. He does need an energy, unfortunately. So there's Professor's research. It's not a boss's orders, but it does seem like we've got a lot of... We've got energy there. Is there any way to finish out the game this turn? And we do have an energy just to KO the Genesect and going, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to get down to one prize remaining. I don't think you can KO my Giratina. And actually with two... How many power tablet did we see used? Was it 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think we saw 2 played. So because it got to 250 or whatever, and then all the reductions happened.
And of course that Gardevoir is still on the field, so you would need to do essentially 300 in order to get the KO here, which would mean 3 damage modifiers, but then it would be a 4th because you'd need double turbo. So I don't think it's even possible, and it does now... It does look like Ian is conceding, and Fabio will win game 1 because Ian's just doing that and going, I'm not getting rid of that Giratina before I lose the game.
Yep, and that was a dangerous Pokemon to see, and we have not seen too much of it in quite some time. It's good to refresh our memory and see Lost Impact doing some work once more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that Giratina, a lot of people are talking it up. Some people are talking it up with Comfey. Some people are picking it up with Arceus. But it's another one of those decks. Arceus Giratina, when I was looking at the format before this tournament, it wasn't a deck that really excited me because it was just a case of, look, you're going to Path Judge, you're going to try and use Starbirth, you're going to get Path and Judge, you're going to set up Giratina, you're going to smash.
Yep.
That's what the deck does. And as much as it wasn't a deck that excited me playing on a personal level, Fabio's coming out and going, no, but seriously, check out how good it is when it works. And we saw exactly that in game 1. Path, Judge, massive attacks.
Yep, ask our world champion how he feels about that strategy, as it has proven to be very successful over and over again. And I think this is an opportunity. I mean, this is just a moment where we see a deck that clearly was slept on. This is one that has not been respected, and sure enough, it should be, as it lines up fairly well with the meta.
And one thing I do need to point out while we're between games, Fabio actually won the Little Regional Championships with Mew Genesect. So the deck he's facing down now is a deck he actually won a regional championship with, and yet coming back into this tournament, you know, with that deck still being absolutely viable, going, nah, you know what, Arceus Giratina, that's where we are. And I believe Fabio is a bit of a newer player. You know, the only other finish we've really got here is, you know, a 39th place in Warsaw, which happened, you know, just a couple weeks after Lille. But one of those European players who's really starting to build a resume. And I think Fabio, maybe not a name that a lot of players know, certainly outside of Europe, but I think that's going to change in the not too distant future, because regional win under your belt, and then, you know, 1 game up on stream, you know, when you're winning in at an internationals, it's a player people are going to start taking note of.
Yeah, the respect certainly will be building at this point, as this is a great accomplishment to add if you do find a good result here at the European International Championships. So obviously, both players are looking for that situation here, as we have this win-in scenario, and you can build on your record so much from this point, still with 2 more rounds to go after this stage, so plenty of points that could be had.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, these winning ends, you don't have to win them here. This is like the first winning end. You basically get free. You get 3 rounds in a row, and if you win one of those 3 rounds, you get yourself into day 2. But like I was talking about with Joe last round, you don't want to start 5-0-1 and then just scrape into day 2. You want to be one of the players with one of the best records, you know, really going towards that top 8. But we are now going into game 2. Ian goes first. We've got a choice band on the Mew, but actually we've got at least there's an Ultra Ball, there's a trekking shoe, so there are going to be some options here.
Well, Ian being a little bit of a silly goose there, playing the belt and then deciding to start looking through the deck, as he does find the Battle VIP pass, but you could sequence that a little better.
Hey, whatever works, whatever gets you that Genesect out. We got a couple of Mew, we got a Genesect. Now we do. Are there any more Pokemon Search in his hand?
There's an Ultra Ball.
So there is still that Ultra Ball.
Okay. There is, I believe, Path Vacuum, which Ian's going to try to make good use of, you would hope. So I'm going to actually throw away the Cramomatic, and this looks like a situation where that's correct.
Yeah, you never want to throw away the Cramomatic because it can search any card on a heads. But when you're this early in the game and you're struggling to set up, we've seen it time and time again. If you hit heads on Cramomatic, best thing ever, you're rolling. But if you flip tails on Cramomatic, you can end up in a situation where you kind of, you put yourself in a corner where you've actually expended too many resources and not set up well enough. You just, at this point in the game, get your Genesect, draw some cards, get Cramomatic when you've got a bit of a better setup. So not terrible start for Ian there. Turn 1, no energy, but a couple of Genesect, that'll do.
Yeah, not too bad here. Has a pretty solid hand to play with next turn. And Fabio's going to get some interesting news, not exactly the worst news, but starting Lumineon wasn't ideal, and it's going to find out that 2 Arceus are in the prizes. Ooh. So I'm going to be working with a little less this time around.
Yeah, and that's awkward, because when you got 2 of the 3 in the prizes, that base, or 2 of your 4, sorry, that basically says you need to put a little more into searching it out. You're probably not going to draw into it, so you need to search it out. But we do, of course, get that Arceus there nice and quickly. And, you know, this would be a great time for Path Judge if you've got a route to Starbirth next turn. It's so awkward trying to get that established turn 1 going second, but if you can do it, then that can really put you on the front foot. Ian can't have that much, not with the setup he's got. So if you can get the path down this early, this could make a big difference. Yep. But unfortunately, it's too early in the game.
I mean, you can't ask for much more if the rest of the hand was good. You know, the Bidoof is down, the energy is on the Arceus. This is exactly what you're looking for. Maybe switch the Pokemon that's in the active spot, but you got to deal with this, and sure enough, this looks to be a big turn for Ian if he can find the right cards here.
Yeah, it does seem... Or we do see the boss's orders coming down, actually, bringing the Arceus with the energy into the active. This is, of course, huge because you're trying to turn off the possibility of using a Trinity Nova next turn. Oh, what did you see? Featherball.
Featherball and Genesect were the 2 cards drawn off a Fusion Strike system. Finds the Mew VMAX, already bringing up that Arceus V. And there's a couple draws left to be had. Could potentially run into that double turbo and be looking at a knockout. I don't see reading Gardevoir this time around.
No, there's no Gardevoir, there's no V-Guard energy or any of that. So with the Choice Belt and the Power Tablet, even with the reduction from Double Turbo, I think we're at 250 at that point, so we're well over. So no, we're good. We are absolutely golden. Now we do see the Forest Seal Stone, of course, sitting there, so I kind of feel confident he's going to find the energy.
I think I can almost guarantee it. I don't know why. But, yeah, you know what? Throw in another Forest Seal Stone. Maybe if you play them both quick enough, you can get 2 cards like a Starbirth.
We do see the Forest Seal Stone, and yeah, obviously it's for the double turbo energy. That was the one piece of the puzzle you still needed, and this is going to be absolutely huge. Fabio can have an Arceus V-Star Starbirth next turn, but he can't get that Trinity Nova going, and that is absolutely huge.
Fabio has 1 card in hand.
Ooh.
This is going to be a problem, unless it is a Bieberol. And oh, it is.
Well, there we go then. Problem solved.
All right, that's pretty good.
Oh, now we do see a nest ball coming down here, so you're going to get one Pokemon. It is like the Giratina V, so that means that you can potentially get rolling a little bit here, draw with Bibarel. The problem is going to be the energy, and there is an option here, if you hit the double turbo, to just accelerate energy with Arceus, but then you're potentially giving up another 2 prizes. It's way too risky, but then if you don't get enough energy on the board, you're not. Nothing about Fabio's setup is showing me where he needs to be going here. It's too awkward. The boss's order for me was huge.
Yeah, I think the card that needed to be found was the Raihan right there. You'd get that energy back onto the Arceus V, then you could potentially get that Arceus V-Star rolling and start to get something going. Instead, this is the last Arceus that we are working with. 2 in the prize cards, 1 knocked out already. So do you try to use it to get something rolling, or do you just jump into the Starbirth, and it has to be the Starbirth now?
Yeah, it's got to be the Starbirth now. You've got it out, but not having the energy established last term means it's going to be so difficult to actually get an attack off, especially, you've used your Professor's Research, I believe, so that means there's going to be no right-hand play. And it's just awkward. Just trying to get anything going from here. Certainly, Raihan accelerating in energy, letting you search for another card, but you had to have the Arceus V-Star in hand in order to pull off that play, and he didn't have the Arceus V-Star in hand. So honestly, this is a game, if I'm Fabio, I'm already thinking about maybe going to game 3,
Yep.
because you're going to be so far behind in tempo, and you've got 25 minutes left. Give yourself enough time for game 3, because already I think Ian is so far ahead in this game.
In any other world, you can just go out and find that Arceus V. You can use an escape rope, and then you can throw down the double turbo, charge up these energies onto potentially Giratina, and then find a way back into this game. Instead, just has to commit the energy to the Arceus and hope.
Oh, we do see a Tails on the Pokemon catcher, and yeah, we see another Pokemon catcher. It's another Tails over 2. That's pretty big here. But if you take a hit here, then you can use Trinity Nova next time, but then you're giving up prizes 3 and 4, and then you're trying to tank with Giratina. I suppose it's doable. It's awkward, but it is doable.
Yeah, I think in this situation, we're going to see Ian considering trying to find that boss's orders once more after using the PAL pad. Try to knock out one of those Giratina V, as you can work with that amount of hit points. You just need 1 amplifier, it looks like, because of the Gardevoir in play there. And then maybe you can target down that Luminion for the final 2 prize cards.
Yeah, and certainly avoiding the Giratina and just going after the weaker Pokemon on the bench is always a fun way around to try and do it. We do see Trekking Shoes here, goes and gets a power tablet, so there is part of it. But we don't have the Gusting yet.
Yeah, we saw the path in the vacuum, and at this point, you don't really care about locking out abilities. No. So there was always an opportunity to just burn those cards, but I think we're going to see that there with the Ultra Ball. So that makes plenty of sense, and there's a lot of Fusion Strike that can go on here to potentially draw into the right pieces.
Yeah, I mean, Giratina's ability is still one of the most ridiculous abilities we've ever seen printed. The fact that it's not limited to once during your turn in the same way that like Crobat and Dedenne and Kricketune are, the fact that you could potentially draw 24 cards in a turn if you got 4 Genesect and keep emptying your hand, this is why the Mew deck has been good. It's not because Mew is, Mew's fine, but the Genesect drawing ability is what really has made this a top-tier deck for so long. And it's,
Whoa.
Oh, this is potentially big. I'm not sure you even need the Gusting anymore, Kyle.
Yeah, if you knock this Pokemon out, you kind of just win. There's no way to accelerate this amount of energies back into play.
Oh, switch cart, so that resets, so you are allowed to attack now. So Mew's hitting 300, minus a reduction from Gardevoir goes down to 280. I don't think we've missed anything this time, but you never know.
Yeah, is Oricorio playing for the other team?
We have actually missed double turbo, but it doesn't matter because we've got Fabio just going, right, yeah, fine. Game 3. Let's just go to game 3.
Yes, and we have 23 minutes remaining here, so looks like we will have an excellent closing game here for this match, and what a way to go. That was very exciting. I don't think we can particularly say Ian got lucky. That didn't work very well, but at the end, finding the power tablets was cool.
Yeah, finding all those power tablets in one go was absolutely huge. And at the end of the day, Ian did some good things there. Ian, using the boss's orders to go after that Arceus turn 1 was absolutely huge. Extending a bit to try and get a KO on that active Arceus in that final turn, again, was absolutely huge. These are things, sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. But if you've played the deck well enough, if you've experienced enough like Ian is, you can know when it's worth taking a risk and when it's not worth taking the risk. And that is exactly what Ian did there. And it was those little things that made a huge difference.
And you could see Fabio on the other side thinking the exact same thing, as he's a very experienced player with the Mew VMAX deck. So as he sees this going on, he knows exactly when he's lost this match. And he's like, all right, you know what? This game's over, and I've got one more shot here.
And that can be a huge advantage. If you've won a regionals of a deck, you know that deck inside out at that stage. So that does give you a huge advantage when you're playing against it. You've got all of that extra knowledge. And I'm sure Fabio would have tested Mew in advance of this tournament, decided instead that Arceus Giratina is the play for him. But still, you've got to imagine playing a bunch of post-rotation games of Mew. So that is very interesting information. And of course, now Fabio gets a choice of going first or second. And you've got to imagine you're going to go first here, just because Ian can't get a giant turn 1K. What am I talking about?
No.
This is not the Fusion Energy list. So that gives you that turn to hopefully get established.
Well, we will start things off here with
nice.
the Capturing Aroma in the Arceus deck.
Yeah, I kind of like this. Of course, you are going for an evolution card, having hit the heads, which, I mean, there is enough judge play by Ian, so there is a chance here you go for the V-Star and it does get judged away.
Yeah, I mean, at least you force your opponent to do this in this situation. There's no other Pokemon that you really want to target. The big question is there an energy? Because we know how important that is to Arceus openings, and I don't see it.
Oh, no. Is that his entire turn?
That was a turn.
Oh, that's not good, because you need the energy so you can Trinity Nova turn 2. That's the whole point.
Well, Ian has some information now. He says, oh, well, that hand was bad, but maybe it has a supporter. So potentially you just continue to stick with the judge strategy of old, but he needs some help here too, as it looks like it's just Ultra Balls. Yeah, there's Ultra Balls and maybe a trekking shoes that can be included. So still a lot to be found here, and there are 2 Battle VIP Pass in the prize cards.
Oh, that is not what you want. You want to be able to get those Battle VIP Pass turn 1. That's kind of the point. They only work on turn 1. So, I mean, if this is a bit of a slower start for me, and that is going to bail Fabio out, because Fabio will be able to then potentially V-Star, use that Star Buff, and maybe get the attack a turn later. It's not really what you want to do, but if your opponent's having a slow start, that is still an option. So, I mean, Fabio, I suppose, at this stage is sitting there going, come on, don't have a good start. Let me get rolling here. Because Fabio didn't have a great turn game 2. You don't want to see that game 3 as well.
Yeah, there's not much going on. Even just energy into the discard pile eventually would be cool, because it lines up for Raihan to sneak the Arceus back into play in a relevant position.
Yeah, we do see the trekking shoes there. You can either take that card or you can discard it and take the next one. It was a Mew, so chooses to take it because you don't want to be getting rid of too many Mew. The good news is we have a V Max and a double turbo, he says, right as they go and hit the discard pile. So it looks like we're just going to grab ourselves a second Genesect and hope we can draw enough cards here.
This is definitely saying, I'm all in on the judge path. I need this to work. And last time, it ends up being pretty strong. Didn't even need the judge, as we saw Fabio on that 1-card hand. This time has a lot more cards and potentially could have a big turn.
Yeah, that's always a goal here. 0-card hand, you can draw into, you got 4 with Genesect. Hopefully play a couple of cards, draw a few more, maybe hit a 3rd Genesect and draw some more again. So these first 4 cards are going to be absolutely huge here. You need to be able to at least fit your hand a little bit in order to actually get them rolling. We do have another Genesect, that is huge. Oh my goodness, and a Cramomatic, which is a Tails, but at least it fits your hand.
Absolutely, so it's going to be a redraw back up 4 more cards, and potential to continue to draw and maybe find that judge.
Yeah, this is going very, very nicely. Ian started this turn without much going on. This really could have gone either way, but a few good draws from Genesect, and we are right back in the game here. And Ian, this is pretty much the best case scenario. Yes, you want the judge path coming out at the end of the turn, but this could have been a turn where you did very little, passed it back to Fabio, and really gave him the impetus to start rolling. So being able to get this kind of draw going was huge. And another Genesect, just in case 3 wasn't enough.
And we see the trekking shoes in hand, going to hold on to that and continue to draw this turn. Maybe can find some additional resources, or was thinking about that Cramomatic, and look at that, found.
Yeah, always nice. Because, of course, now that tools don't count as item cards or Cramomatic, you need to be a little more careful here. Just being able to have an option for discarding with Cramomatic. It looks like we are playing the Trekking Shoes. Went and grabbed Forest Seal Stone. That's nice.
That is a very good card. That's what you're looking for at this stage. Is going to be able to go ahead and search through the deck, and you have to think this is the judge.
Yeah, you've got to think it's going to be the judge. You're trying to hurt your opponent here, and obviously the judge has now been played, and you're just trying to slow your opponent down. And actually, you know they've got a V-Star in hand. You know they've got very little on the board, so you know they're going to go and use that Starbirth. So give them a 4-card hand. Don't have the guaranteed Arceus. I really like this play for me, and Ian is doing everything he needs to do to just try and slow him, to slow Fabio down here.
Yeah, Fabio desperately looking at those cards for any glimmer of hope. Gets the news that he's got a Starbirth next turn, for now.
Oh, but yeah, can we see the path here as well? Cramomatic is coming down here.
Wow.
It is ahead, and you've got to think this is going to be path to the peak. We've seen Judge Path way too many times. Oh, it actually goes for the energy.
I think it's in hand.
Oh, what? No, we can't already have the path in hand. That's too good off of a judge.
Yes, this is very ideal. It gets to play the energy down for the turn onto the Mew, threaten to potentially knock out next turn, and this is perfect.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Redraw back up, hold on to these cards, lock in the path, and your opponent might honestly just evolve and pass.
Oh my goodness, you're right. That path is already in hand. Drew it natural. I can't remember who it was. Somebody to me yesterday was going, no. The real play is you judge, draw the path off of the judge, and then play it down. They were joking. Ian's done it twice.
Yes, yeah, continuing to find all the right cards here. And ooh, actually added the Giratina into the hand, and gonna not choose to add some additional energies here. Instead, just gonna go with the Arceus V-Star, hope to get lucky off the judge.
And to be fair, we look at Ian's board, that Genesect is currently stuck in the active. The Mew has not evolved, so Ian needs a couple things to start attacking next turn. So there is a world here where Fabio is able to, you know, manually build up that Arceus and just use Trinity Nova next turn. So we saw a very quick turn there. Judge, of course, path is down, so Ian does not have access to his Genesect as it turns. Unless he's got the vacuum, which he obviously already does.
Yep, that is perfect there. Finds the exact card necessary, and now has the potential to put some pressure on this Arceus V-Star. If you can knock out this Pokemon, you have to think this is a game-winning play.
Oh yeah, if you can KO the Arceus here, that is absolutely huge. Now we do see instead the boss's orders bringing up the Giratina, basically going, I want my prizes. I'm not confident I'm going to be able to KO that Giratina, excuse me, the Arceus. So let's go after the slightly easier prize here. We do see the Mew V Max. Do we have a switching option, and do we have some modifiers here? Because we are not there in terms of a KO.
Yeah, the boss's orders is nice because it means you potentially can target this Giratina V, but remember there's also an escape rope. So with this short of a bench, there's an opportunity to continue to put some pressure on that Arceus.
Oh, I do like the idea of just kind of holding on for a minute, and if you've got enough modifiers, you play the rope to go after the Arceus. If you don't hit enough modifiers, you instead just take the prizes off of the Giratina. I like leaving that option open. We see the path re-established here by Ian. Not able to get Genesect out the active though, so we do see a Nest Ball for Fabio, and I mean this could even be for a Bidoof potentially. Oh, he's eyeing up Squavit.
Oh yeah. That's the desperation that I like to see.
Okay, it looks like he's gone off the Squavit for the moment. Looks like there's another Arceus being. No, it is a second Giratina. Just get those attackers down. And it does look like we might be going for a judge play here. There is a choice, but we've actually got the V-Star. There is a choice bout could be attached. There we go. And then we're going to see the judge.
Yeah, good bit of thinning there, playing down all those cards, and now has an opportunity to maybe chain together some really strong draws. And once more, let this path lock your opponent as well as you.
Yeah, I kind of like this. This is good. You know, you're using Judge, your opponent's still under path lock, so it really depends. Oh, and it does look like he actually... Did he draw the Bibarel off that? He did, so
Yeah.
a Bidoof on the bench would have been absolutely huge. I understand why he didn't, obviously. Getting that second Giratina, getting the belt on was great, but that would have been so good to be able to get that Bibarel established, so you can still be drawing some cards under the lock.
Well, it looks like Ian is finally going to get to put some pressure on here. Ran into one of those double turbo energies, it looks like. So has the option to retreat. Actually has both. And then if this is the game we remember, I think there was an early discard of a double turbo. So those are the last two energies to attack with, unless we saw a card like Silene.
No, I believe they absolutely are. We saw I think it was a turn 1 Ultra Ball as it stands. I'm not seeing any Silene in the deck list here for the Mew player, so we are down to basically 2 energy left. It's something to kind of bear in mind, keep account of those energy. Always nice to maybe try and strand something in the active if it comes down to it, if enough resources are expended. But for now, honestly, those 2 energy are going to be enough, and it looks like we've got the Ultra Ball coming down for that Bidoof. Is it a turn too late? I'm not sure, because right now, can Fabio even get that Giratina out the active? You know, a switch energy would be huge here, but no, there's nothing. Has to just pass back to Ian. We know Ian's got the energy in hand, so we can just retreat and KO.
Yeah, it's gonna line up a nice clean knockout here. The hand for Fabio is just that Sharon's Care, I believe, and the Bibarel. So gonna have some options to draw into good stuff now, and look at that, even finds the research.
Okay, this is nice. So a fresh 7 off the research. Of course, you've then got options for Bibarel if you can get your hand down a little bit. Now, the good news is we can see an attack from Fabio here. We can see a hit into the Mew, and then we can potentially see some energy. Now, one thing which is actually kind of sneaky huge right now, Ian doesn't have the Oricorio down, which does mean that Giratina can get a 1-hit KO with a choice belt. So there is a potential kind of 4-turn play here where Fabio hits the Mew, KO's next turn, then gets a big KO on a second Mew VMAX with Giratina, and that is the game. It's Fabio's on the back foot, but that is at least for now an option.
Yeah, there's definitely some play there, as we do see that V-Guard energy played down, so that means that Ian also is going to have a very tough time with this Pokemon. I think the one big missing piece is finding the Giratina V-Star, and it's not there. If there's a Boss's Orders play, this could be ridiculous.
Yeah, that is absolutely what Ian's going to be going for here. Oh, we do see, so the energy has gone on from Arceus, but yeah, there is now a giant red signal. In the same way the people in the Pokemon Center were waving flags when it was your turn to go and buy, that is exactly what's happening. The Giratina's waving a flag like, come on, I'm here, I'm ready. It is such a good option for Ian to try and target this down now, if he's got the cards to do so.
This might be the turn where you break the path lock. We see the POW pad. It can start to recycle some of these resources, and this might be a very big turn. Boss's Orders established once more back in the deck, and there's a lot of draws that could make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I believe we would need 2 modifiers here, because Giratina's got 220, but you minus 20 for the double turbo, minus 20 for the Gardevoir, means you essentially have to hit 260. You're hitting 210 because we've already minus the double turbo. So it would be 2 modifiers, I believe, would do it. So 2 modifiers and a Boss's Orders, I think. But honestly, this game has just been throwing off my maths the whole time because there's so many different things adding and minusing.
Well, yeah, the Boss's Orders was found here. The choice belt's already there, so just this one last modifier should be able to get. I don't even think you need it there. It says it just lines up through.
Yeah, so we do see the KO there very nicely indeed, and that is getting very, very awkward as we go through here. I'm not I'm not 100% sure on the maths, because Mew hits 210, minus 20 for the double
Oh,
turbo.
it's Path walking out
Path
the
to
Radiant.
peak turns off Gardevoir. Thank you. There we go. See, this is what's throwing me in this game. When was the last time Path to the Peak turning off Gardevoir was a relevant thing?
It's been a minute, but yeah, I appreciate the judges clarifying there, just trying to make aware that we don't have any irreparable game state there, and we are going to see the judge played now. And this might be Fabio's last chance, as this Arceus needs to go the distance.
Yeah, unfortunately so, and I just don't think it's got enough there. We are obviously in game 3, so there's no point in conceding for the next game. There is no next game. But the problem we've got here is that you're going to need to basically get 4 good hits in on Mew. So I do think we need to establish another Arceus. This Mew is not, this first Arceus is not going to do it alone. I'm not even sure 2 Arceus can actually do it, unfortunately. I don't think you're going to get 4 hits with Arceus, which is really what you're going to need before you end up losing an Arceus. And obviously here, now, does Ian have access to boss's orders? There's 2 boss and a pal pad. Now, I know we've lost a boss. I know we've lost a pal pad.
Yeah, I still think we have 1 more available. So this is the big turn where Fabio's trying to guarantee that he has 2 Arceus V-Star. Obviously can't evolve this turn, but would love for this Pokemon to stick around just 1 more turn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an awkward position for Fabio to be in. And, you know, when you're sitting there at 501, you know if you win this, you're in day 2 and you'll play your last couple rounds, but the pressure's really off because you've got your day 2. You're really just trying to earn some extra points to go into day 2 with. As it stands, we see an attack from Arceus. It's going to get a big chunk of damage down. 180 because you minus 20 from the double turbo. You do get extra energy on that Arceus on the bench, but I do think Ian is in a great position here.
Well, we'll see if some draws are available. Finds the Cramomatic, so there's potential to counter this Path to the Peak and then really start to burn through the deck here.
I don't think he even really needs to counter the Path, honestly, because he's hitting 220. I think he's hitting 220 when you ignore the Gardevoir because of the Path to the Peak. So I think just the boss's orders would get the KO on the Arceus here. But it's a moot point because the Cramomatic was Tails anyway.
Well, we'll see with the escape rope now. This decision that is left to be had. The Bidoof going to be thrown in the active.
Yeah, I mean, you can just KO the Bidoof here and then you're fine because you're only down to 1 prize remaining, so kind of anything will get it. So we do see a judge coming in here. That's going to give both players a new hand to 4. Ian, it looks like, I mean, to be fair, does need an energy or can just retreat, to be fair. But another energy for this turn or for next would be pretty big. Get a KO here and then kind of work on winning the game next turn.
Yep. Have we seen the Pokemon catchers use this game as well?
Yes, I believe we saw a double Tails. I could be wrong. That might have been last game, but I think we saw a double Tails.
Well, either way, we're going to see the knockout here. Ian Buck going down to just 1 prize card remaining. Path still in play. But there are some Mew VMAXs that are potentially getting knocked out soon. And Fabio has stuck around in this match and has an opportunity here.
And this is kind of interesting because Fabio, in theory, can take a KO the next 2 turns and win the game. So Ian actually needs either a lot of damage modifiers to KO the active Arceus, or is going to need... It's going to actually be gusting because there is a second Arceus on the bench, so escape rope won't do it. It will need to be actual proper gusting.
Well, how about a Squovit?
Oh, he's putting in so much work. I'm loving it.
It looked like really wanted to have some hand disruption here. Did not find it. Instead found every other card.
Oh, that is a lot of bosses. That's a lot of Professor's research all in one go. So, I mean, this is kind of it. It looks like we're very close to the end of the game here. And I'm not sure Ian has another attacker to use. Like, it's not like Ian can just not use that second, the second damage Mew next turn, because what else is he going to attack with? So we do see the KO, and Fabio is down to 3 prizes remaining. And this is an awful lot closer than it looked a couple of turns ago, quite frankly. A couple of turns ago, Fabio really looked like it was only a matter of time before he lost this game, but he's actually come back quite nicely. Got a bit of a reprieve from the escape rope, taking a KO on the Bidoof, which then saved a bit of damage onto the Arceus, but didn't get Ian any closer to winning the game, because Ian still got to take another KO. So it's gusting here. That is huge. Although that Oricorio going down could end up being a big deal.
Yeah, we'll see if that lets some of these Pokemon stick around a little bit longer. And this might potentially just have to be retreat and hide behind Genesect at this stage, as I don't think the hand has anything that can help against this path.
No, that path is absolutely hurting, so we retreat to the Genesect here. And Boss's orders will win. He's got it in hand, and Fabio takes a very unlikely 2-1. That did not look like it was going to happen a few turns ago, but Fabio really navigated that. And you see the reaction of, I didn't think I was going to win that game.
He said, whoa, I did nothing. That was cool.
Oh, what a turnaround. A couple of turns ago, I did not think Fabio was going to be able to pull that off. It did not look like he could attack enough times while protecting his Arceus, but it worked.
That was unreal. Really just didn't have to do too much, just continued to attack and had a big enough wall there with the Arceus V-Star. I really think the MVP is just all of the damage modifiers both ways, as we saw that V-Guard energy stick on that Arceus V-Star and just continue to be a Pokemon that Ian just never wanted to attack into.
No, absolutely not. And we saw, Ian going after, playing the escape rope, getting that Bidoof. But actually, it ended up leaving Fabio with the undamaged Arceus, and that was what Fabio really needed. Fabio needed time with his Arceus not being KO'd to start attacking. And I said it was going to take 4 attacks with the Arceus, and that's exactly what it took.
Yeah.
It turns out he did get just enough time, and that's a game I kind of want to go back and watch again, because a few turns ago, it really looked like Ian was in huge control, but then Fabio brought it back beautifully, and of course, stamps his ticket into day 2.
Yeah, I really thought that it was going to have to include a card like Charon's Care, which we saw discarded earlier on, and I looked into the list, see if there is a Pal Pad or anything. It's not there. It just had to be this Arceus going the distance, and it found a way.
Yeah, and that was very, very well played. And, I think the reaction of Fabio when he won, I kind of told you, we're not exaggerating here. That was a very improbable victory. That was not the reaction of somebody who was like, oh, I've got this 4 turns ago. That was a reaction of somebody, just absolute relief of, I didn't think I was winning this game, and yet I managed to pull it out. And it turns out Arceus might still be good.
Yeah, and Mew, when it doesn't draw cards, is not very good. And we saw that path locked more against Ian than against Fabio in that spot.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. One of the reasons why